Welcome back to Beagle Eye Visions. We're going to wrap up episode number 48, movies to break down. It'll probably be a little short and sweet one. I have no goals really other than to level up. I kind of did a lot of the missions, so I guess we'll head over to this Corvega plant right behind me that you can see in the background, and we'll get some more knowledge. Wrap this episode up. Thank you for choosing Beagle Eye Visions for your entertainment.
Video quality is just, it's not, up to what we would consider to be what we want as our standard for today. So I felt, okay, well, I'll take that idea that he had laid out and I'll build upon that. I'll add in all the things that I think are crucial, all the hidden points, and, I'll try to, in a way, remaster that, but not literally remastering his video, but just kind of build upon that or remake it with my own ideas and things like that. And that's what I tend to do. I take from all these other places and all these other sources, and then I tend to build upon them, right? We all do that. And since Mark was such an influential individual in my life, I do tend to respect a lot of his work. I was like, okay, so it'd be nice to have a presentation that's high quality, up to date, especially right now, that's like that Mark Passio presentation, but, for today, right? So for today. And I think that would be really amazing, not just an audio podcast presentation, but also a live video, not live, but a video presentation of that. So that's where it kind of went in my head. And so far it's coming together really well. I just finished the first movie, so I'm one part in. I'm going to do all three of the movies, and it'll be all in one recording. It won't be parted out or anything. And yeah, there's going to be something in there that a lot of people have never seen before.
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
It's not an identical remake of Mark's, obviously. There's a lot of stuff in there that I added. Because I have a lot of knowledge in cinematography, a lot of knowledge in cinema language and cinema technique. So I'm adding some of that stuff in there. And then all the occult knowledge and esoteric knowledge is coming out into the forefront because of my, because I have the eyes to see. You could say my third eye is on.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't fully bail on me. Because I have some stuff to bring to the table when you come on the show and break it down, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, but yeah, man, I saw a couple of your slides so far, and it's going to be a really awesome, powerful presentation. So, can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited to come on here and talk to you about it as well, and that kind of leads us into that next category, which is where we want to go with breaking down allegories in films, and I have quite a few films that I like to break down, considering that I'm actually working on a book. It's been slow going here lately, but I have been working on a book about esoteric knowledge in cinema for a while. And it's kind of like a collection of all my essays about me breaking down movies.
Cool.
So, to start out with, I think we should break down Alien 1 and 2, which is Aliens. It's not Alien 2, but it's...
I got to rewatch those.
Yeah, they're so good. And I just wrote an article about that over the winter. And, I think one of the other great workers did a really good video of it as well. Chris Jansen, is that his name? Chris something? Jansen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a really good job. And it's weird because when I saw his, I had already been working on my article for that. And everything that he was talking about was in my article. And I was like, oh, wow, this guy knows his stuff. And, he was talking about the evil within and just the way he broke down the allegory of it was really sound and really well done. So, it really inspired me to go even further into it. So I think that would be a good series to cover. So I think with this section of the podcast here, Nate, I'll throw one out there, you throw another until we get sick of throwing movies out that we don't want to, but that we want to cover is what I was saying. So
for sure, yeah. I mean, I would definitely be willing, because I haven't seen Alien 1, 2, or 3, or I don't even know how many there are, but I haven't seen them since I was since they first came out when I was a kid. So I will definitely be rewatching those if you plan on breaking them down on the show. And also, I made a short list of movies and series shows that I'd like to break down, also with you if you'd like, or, ones I can just break down on my own. Either way, it'll be really cool. The Twilight Zone episode of Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, that is like one of the greatest allegories ever, and I think it'll be really cool, and it's not that long either, so I'm gonna do my best to break that down on the show, and you're more than welcome to come on and give your take on it too. But also the Platform, Snowpiercer, and believe it or not, The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler.
That kind of came out of nowhere. That's interesting.
I didn't even. It's always been my favorite movie, and people make fun of me for it. But as when I was a kid, I grew up loving football, and it's a great story based on the old Longest Yard with what's his name? But yeah, I can't remember. But it's based on the old Longest Yard. Both of them amazing movies to me, but the newer one with Chris Rock and Adam Sandler is really, really awesome. And I loved the movie until I started to get into this work and started realizing, government, what government truly means, and realizing what slavery truly means, and then realizing what an allegory is. And then I started to really see how this movie was a direct reflection of the condition of humanity right now. And so I'm really looking forward to breaking that down. And it's funny because it's one of those movies where you're like, yeah, it's kind of like, what's that movie with Tom Hanks, the Money Pit?
Oh, right, yeah.
You wouldn't know that it's an allegory unless you understood Freemasonry. And, and that's why it's both of those movies are really great. And I mean, I in my opinion, but I'm really looking forward to those. And I also I'm planning on breaking down things like the Masonic allegory of marriage, which, that goes hand in hand with the Money Pit. The devil allegory, classic alien invasion allegory, and a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're going to talk about aliens, UFOs, like, what are you, some kind of Stitch Knight? But I understand that there is a allegory in the classic alien invasion and what aliens are. So definitely look out for that one. Also, there's a racing allegory, first, second, and third place. Plato's Cave allegory, most people know that one. The Mansion allegory. Zombie allegory, most people can figure that one out too. The Darwinian evolution theory allegory. I'm excited to talk about that one. Robots allegory, and maybe a few more of those types of allegories. And these breakdowns that I'll do they'll be really short, so I could probably do them all in maybe one or two shows. But these are what I feel to be extremely important allegories to understand, because they're closer to home, so to speak. They're allegories that go beyond the story. They kind of, they're kind of in our actual reality. or they've become our actual reality. And I think those are very interesting types of allegories that go on constantly. So I'm really looking forward to breaking those down. And you're more than welcome to come on and give your take, because I'm pretty sure you'll have a lot to bring to the table for any of those. So.
Yeah, I like the idea of taking foundational allegories that are kind of universally used as memes or archetypes,
right,
for stories, like what you're talking about, like more simple allegories, like the robot allegory, like that is really important to break down the simplicity of it. And then once that's broken down, then you can see it in all these different, movies and stories. I'm very interested in doing Twilight Zone. I had Twilight Zone on my list, specifically 2 episodes. I had already started working on these 2 episodes, so I would like to do, I Shot an Arrow into the Air, which is a really good one, and it has a great allegory about the triune aspects of the brain in it with each character. It also has a lot of, storytelling importance about self-defense and gun ownership. So it's a really good episode. And then the other one is The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, which I feel is an amazing allegory about hysteria, groupthink, fear psychology. I think that one is a really good one, especially in our time, right now, in our current times. Definitely would love to come on and do the Twilight Zone with you. A couple of the other, ideas that I had. Obviously, I want to do Equilibrium.
Yeah.
That one would be good for the Masonic allegory within it. The symbolism in that is just amazingly profound, right in your face, and the Brave New World overtones of it are right in your face as well. And
Brave New World is another one for sure.
Right. Yeah. We could do books too.
There was oops, let me make sure nobody's gonna kill me. There was a Brave New World TV show on Peacock. It ran for 1 season and got canceled. It was so good. They always cancel the best TV shows.
Eventually. That would be really, really nice to see. I have a few that I would really like to do. Obviously, I'm going to do The Matrix, so we're going to do that. Equilibrium. You already said The Platform. That was on my list. The Platform is something I feel we should definitely do. I was thinking about doing The Shining as well. I think The Shining would be a good allegory to do. And I know a lot of people have done The Shining, but maybe not from the perspective that we come from. Another one that I wanted to do is Eyes Wide Shut, and I know a lot of people have really covered that to the end. But I have a pretty good article written about that I haven't published yet. So I figured I would do that because that one's a really, really good one. And in conjunction with that, I thought about trying to cover. It's a TV show. It's called Strange Angel. It's about Thelema. It's about the occult. And it has a really good allegory in it. Unfortunately, they didn't finish it. It only had 2 seasons. But that makes it a little bit easier to break down without, getting too deep into it. Because I tend to be very detailed when it comes to things like that.
Yeah.
There's a couple episodes of Star Trek, actually, I'd like to cover. And I know a lot of people would be like, oh, you're a Trekkie or something like that. Well, there's a few really good allegories in Star Trek, for sure. Specifically the Next Generation, right? And there's a lot of occult knowledge in it. There's a lot of stuff about tarot. There's a lot of stuff about mysticism, and there's a lot of stuff about current affairs and political issues and moral issues, ethical dilemmas. So I think that I wanted to cover a couple episodes of Star Trek, I mean, I don't want to make the list too big, right?
Yeah, we're going to have 100 episodes of allegories before we get back to the content.
Another thing I was going to say, we don't have to cover these back to back. We could just, cover these throughout the entire lifespan of the podcast, right?
Right. Yeah. I was even thinking that just now, how it would be really cool to maybe do a allegory every 5 to 10 episodes or something, just to give like a nice little breakup.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea,
And maybe the allegories actually go with what the sciences that we're sharing are.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm mainly looking for, is whatever we're talking about and whatever we've laid out. If I'm going to bring in an allegory, it's going to relate to the knowledge that we've already brought to the table at some level, right? So that's really important. So that's why the Matrix, that's one of the things that I wanted to bring to the table, was because, I know we've had a lot of prerequisites to understand, the Matrix. So a lot of it's already laid out that you need, the tools that you need to be able to decode it or decipher it, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, there's a few others, but you already said a couple that I wanted to do, and I'd be interested in coming on and doing them with you. Snowpiercer is definitely one of them. The platform, like you said, definitely one of them. Twilight Zone, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we don't want to spoil everything. I think those are great. That's a great place to start.
For sure. I have a few allegorical movies I'd like to share, and TV series that I'd like to share right now that I recommend for anyone listening to, go and check out for yourselves, which is, obviously like Twilight Zone and Outer Limits. Those are just full of allegories. And then Avatar, Cloud Atlas, Interstellar, Equilibrium. We already said that one. Doctor Strange. And if you go to my page on the CubbyWhole website under Nate, you'll see my presentation titled Doctor Strange Decoded, where I gave a pretty thorough breakdown of that film. And so I gave that back in, I think it was Seed 2. Yeah, it was Seed Part 2. So yeah, I felt like I did a pretty decent job, and I think you'll appreciate it. And the other movie that I highly recommend is Mother. Mother is just so great. I mean, that is one of the most amazing allegories that I've ever seen. And then we already said Money Pit, and then Star Wars episode 4 through 9. There's all kinds of allegories going on in there. Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy. Beautiful allegories. I mean, if you understand anything about the ancient Egyptian mythos regarding the solar, lunar, and stellar mythos, you'll see some really powerful allegory going on, especially in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And then King Arthur, any of the King Arthurs, they're all just so important. And I think the allegory that really is just like the Mac Daddy of all allegories is They Live, because it really helps people understand what it means to see allegorically. And then How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, that was just mind-blowing to me. One of the other ones, a couple more that I have, is The Gods of Egypt.
Yes.
Super incredible allegory, dealing with Set, the ancient Egyptian god Set, and Horus. Very well done. I think that if you're trying to understand Set and Horus, that is a movie you want to study. Also, Aguirre, The Wrath of God, and Apocalypse Now, both excellent movies that help us understand the journey. So, and Holy Mountain. Holy Mountain, it's right up there with They Live, I would say, as far as allegorical movies that really pull you in and help you recognize how it really is about coming online and putting the shades on and seeing reality for yourself.
Yeah, it's funny you said Holy Mountain. I had Holy Mountain and Apocalypse Now on my list. Those two are extremely in depth to break down, but to go and watch them, they are a must. They're up there with They Live in my point of view. A couple other ones that I would add is like The Fifth Element. The Fifth Element has a great alchemical and Masonic allegory within it. I think Black Mirror is a great show for people. There's an amazing plethora of knowledge there that relates to our current dilemmas in a major way, right? I know that you've got a lot of that show yourself. Yeah, that show is it's mind-boggling. I think Adjustment Bureau is really good.
Oh, yeah.
The movie.
Yep.
I think that's a really, really good movie about free will choice and, determinism versus randomnism and a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of different movies that I would recommend when it comes to, knowing the self a lot better, especially darker movies, right? Because a lot of the darker movies, like Platform, right? Platform is a really dark movie. Most people might not enjoy that movie. I think it's really important for people to watch some of those films, like the movie Mandy. Mandy's really, really good. Has a great allegory in it. Have you seen Mandy yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mandy is really, really good. The House That Jack Built. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's totally Masonic. The whole thing is
cool.
Masonic. Obviously, Jack being the son. Yeah. So, it's very, very intriguing.
And then the lodge being the house.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that.
But like you said, anything Arthur, definitely watch everything that has to do with King Arthur. King Arthur, the movie from 2004, King Arthur, Legend of a Sword, any King Arthur movie, I would recommend to anybody at any level, honestly.
Right.
So, yeah, another one that I would recommend that's part of the allegory of eugenics, and like whether your genes dominate your overall characteristics, and then it has a really good tie-in with epigenetics within it, and shows the importance of epigenetics is Gattaca. Gattaca, that's what it's called. Gattaca, not Gallica. That's a different one. Gattaca is what it's called. It's so good. It's such a great allegory. Oh my God, it blew me away when I watched that film. It's about overcoming your genetic deficiencies and how your willpower and your consciousness can rewrite your genome code, and what happens when a whole society is built up based upon the idea of genetic Darwinism and eugenics and social Darwinism, right? And what happens when people are oppressed because of that, and what happens with their talents, and how do they get through that, So it's really good. It's a really, really good movie.
Well, I'll definitely put that on the list right now. So
yeah, Gattaca, Gattaca is what that is. It's an older movie. I think. Nice. Well, it's not super old, but it's from like 97 or 98 or something.
Sounds like a really important movie if it's talking about eugenics or epigenetics. So
yeah, it got destroyed in the box office too, and by the critics.
Yeah.
Any movie that gets destroyed by the critics and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm always like, go watch that movie. There's something in there they don't want you to know about.
Yeah, it was like, I remember when Cloud Atlas and Gods of Egypt came out, and I mean, it got so much hate, and I watched both of those movies, and I was just freaking blown away how amazing they were. But, again, it's, if you don't understand the mysteries, if you don't understand the sacred sciences, it's really difficult to see what's going on. But, a lot of people, I could see that something deep was happening in the Matrix movie. I just couldn't figure it out. And there's people who've watched that and they're like, just like, some dumb weird guy who wakes up, they don't even know what waking up means, and then they just start bashing the movie because it they just don't understand it.
Right.
Or they just don't want to understand it, or maybe they just really can't feel it from a deep level. I mean, I felt it from a deep level, and I was really asleep when I watched it. So, or maybe I wasn't. I don't know, but. But we're gonna switch gears. Go ahead.
Well, I would say that we did have a very unique upbringing with our parents that is very non-average to a certain extent.
Right.
Both of our fathers and my uncle, your stepdad, are definitely more rebellious and more out of the programming than most people, obviously. But I do want to add just 3 more here. I just wanted to add 3 more before we shift gears. If you're into, dark occult movies and you want to see like some real dark occult stuff, I would say like movies like Suspiria are really good. Another one would be The Devil Rides Out. These are older films.
Oh yeah, The Devil Rides Out.
Oh, the squirt's about to go crazy. I guess we'll do our own little music break here. I wonder if I can play music on the YouTube channel. Gosh, boomers are so freaking weird.
It's 1968. It's really amazing.
Really in your face too.
Yeah, it's straight up in your face. Like it's straight up about Satanism and the dark occult. Suspiria is about ritual sacrifice of the sacred feminine, and the color schemes and the cinematography in that are really used very well. And then a more modern one that I think is very, very important, especially when you're dealing with Masonic allegories, is the Golden Compass.
Oh yeah.
So the Golden Compass has a lot of stellar mythology and Freemasonic mythology tied into it. So pretty much the same thing, right? But or the same thing, absolutely the same thing. But yeah, that movie really blew me away with its story and what I learned from it. So
yeah, same here.
Yeah, when I first watched that movie, I was like, oh, this is just some kid's, movie. And then I went back and watched it again when I had, fully awakened and gained all this knowledge. And I was just blown away, just absolutely blown away with everything that's in that.
Right. Speaking of being blown away, when you're younger, even something you and I have done and a couple of my other friends is bounce off ideas after we watch, movies that are allegorically or series like the Twilight Zone series. And I think that's so important if you have somebody to bounce off your ideas, because when you start talking it out, you start to understand it even more. So, or, if you write it down, write out your ideas. You don't have to do it with somebody, but either way, that's really how you start to that's how you strengthen your brain to be able to see allegorically, see deeper in the allegories. So I just want to, let people know that is something that you should practice, because not only is it really healthy to be able to see that way, but also it's very interactive with other people, and it gets them thinking too. And it's a great exercise, and I highly recommend it. And I think that it's really essential to be able to see all the hidden things that are veiled from us. So I just wanted to let everyone know that. But also I wanted to switch gears here before we get off. We got about 10 minutes left. So Brandon, what is your theory of what the new Matrix 4 is going to be about. I mean, you know, we can see all the clues, obviously, that they're showing to us in the preview and the trailer, but you know, what do you really think it's going to be about?
Well, I've had a lot of thought on that, considering I'm working on this presentation. You know, I think it's a secular, you know, thing where they're obviously it's called Resurrections, right? So it's resurrecting the entire Matrix. So it's probably going to be a reboot of the Matrix system, right? And we're going to see a lot of similar things that are going to play out just like throughout the last 3 movies. So we're going to see a lot of homages to that.
Wow, he's right. He turned out to be right. Holy crap.
You know, we're going to see very similar scenes, very similar things take place. And a lot of people might be upset about that, but I think it's going to play into how they're going to develop if they do another one after it and a third one after that, if they continue to make it a trilogy, which they probably will, just because I don't think they'll be able to sum up the next cycle of the whole story within one movie. I think we're going to have a very different perspective of the last 3 because, you know, that tends to be the thing whenever you have movies like this. They tend to want to shift the idea of it and really throw a curveball into what's already been said, right? So I know that we saw that, you know, Morpheus is coming back as a younger character. So there's a lot of questions behind that. We see that Neo is obviously taking the blue pills and he's reintegrated into the Matrix, and he's obviously in some type of very depressed psychological state to the point where he's trying to kill himself, take his own life, and he's questioning reality. So I think it's going to really dive within that psychological mindset of, you know, what is real and what is not, which is obviously, you know, given within the realm of the Matrix philosophy. But it's going to dive really deep into the psychology of these things more so. I mean, he's taking a pill, the blue pill. It's literally called ontoflux, I think it's called, which is a combination of 2 things. It's ontology, which is the study of reality in the nature.
Squirt's going off. Beagle Eye. You know it's Beagle Eye.
Nature of the self. You know, it's the study of who we are and how do we know who we are, how can we justify who we are, and it's also the study of how can we justify reality to a certain extent, which has to do with epistemology. So, you know, these are branches of philosophy that they're getting into. So they're going to dabble with metaphysics, they're going to dabble with ontology, epistemology, and logic, right? Those 4 branches of philosophy. And the other side of that pill name, ontoflux, flux, it's flux something, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's an antiviral or antibacterial medicine, real medicine that people can get. And so it obviously is implied with the pills that he's taking that they're trying to keep him suppressed, which is, you know, given with the color spectrum. They're using blue being passive, and they're trying to keep Neo in line with the new Matrix system. I mean, there's so many questions we could ask. There's so many things that it could possibly be, because we don't know, like, is he actually in a system that's actually the same as the system where all the slaves are at? You know, has the war re-broken out? Have they broken their truce between the machines and the humans? But I think there's going to be a wonderful allegory about coming out of our own state of ignorance, coming out of deep depression, right? Because I know that the director, you know, the Wachowski, I can't remember which one it is, but one of the Wachowskis, she just lost her parents. She or he, however you want to do that, but lost her parents, and then, you know, she has said live that, you know, publicly, that this whole movie is going to be, you know, kind of pulling from all that trauma she just went through from the loss of her parents. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that deals with depression, I believe. Lots of stuff that deals with the dark sides of our aspects of our psychology, rather than a lot of technical jargon, which that will be there too. But I think it's going to really get deep into the psychological aspects of being in those systems and things like that. There's so many questions I have. I have a whole list of questions about it. But yeah, I'm super excited for it. Definitely going to watch it. I'm really curious about where they're going to take it. My overall prediction is that you're going to see a lot of the same motifs and structure of like how the film is made, but they're going to twist those things. They're going to add a new flavor to it. They're going to, change it up a bit. You're going to get the scene with Neo and Morpheus fighting, but it's going to go the other way. It's going to be a curveball. It's not going to be Morpheus who has the upper hand through the whole thing. It's going to be Neo who has it, and there's a possibility that Morpheus may even be a program, an agent now. He could be part of the system, and we don't really know that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of questions that they could answer from the last films, and I'm going to talk about that in my presentation a little bit as well.
Cool.
Which is, these questions that they left open. At the end of the Matrix, right? The end of the third Matrix film. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen the trailer like 3 times, and this is my theory. I think that Neo, remember when Deus Ex Machina, basically, where Neo was crucified,
yep.
Right? I think Neo, like everybody thinks that Neo died,
right?
And I think
right.
he did. I think he did too. But just like in reality, I think that there's a way to save someone's brain, and I think that, or maybe even their consciousness somehow. And I think that maybe that Deus Ex Machina took all the information of Neo and then reconstructed him into the Matrix. And that's why he's confused, and that's why he's, he doesn't know, like Trinity doesn't know him, but they don't really let you know if Neo knows Trinity. So they kind of make it kind of suggest that he does, but they don't really tell you that he does. But obviously they become connected, and you can see all through the trailer that they're buddies. So anyway, I think that I think it's also a reflection type of movie. So this is going to be Neo going through a lot of not really understanding why he's back in the Matrix, but also he's going to be, I think that's why they're going to have so many motifs from the first one, maybe even the second and third. But I do think that there is something to, they even show there's like a little blue butterfly. It kind of reminds me of, when like they show the little blue butterfly after he's taken the blue pills, and then that's the other thing about the pills. The pills before were red and blue, and we never really knew, if Morpheus was telling the truth from the beginning. Maybe that blue pill was also the red pill. So you really, I don't know, but because he does start to trip out, right? And after he takes them, so now it's confusing the idea between, your fantasy mindset and your reality truth mindset. So like it's almost reversing them, because now we've made us as a real society have made the red pill a symbol of truth. But now this movie might reverse that to where maybe the blue means, in this movie, maybe the blue represents the pill of truth. So that'll be really interesting to see how that goes. But anyway, there's this reverse effect, and that the butterfly reminds me of Doctor Strange, when Doctor Strange is having his trip and he sees that butterfly for a second, and you realize, well, whenever you see a butterfly, this is about, the caterpillar transmuting into a butterfly, going through a metamorphosis, right?
Right.
So I think
we also get that lady with the blue hair, and that kind of threw me off because she seems to be a red pill, a person who is awakened and is fighting the agents, right? But she has the blue hair, so there is a reversal going on there.
Right.
And we really don't know who she is, and she's the one who has the white rabbit tattooed on her.
That's true.
As well. So yeah, I think you're right with a lot of what you're saying there. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine. I think that, this is it almost makes me feel like this might be kind of how Black Mirror works, where Black Mirror is always, for the most part that I've noticed, is an allegory where something really crazy is happening. It's a very, almost like, put you on the edge of the seat pretty much the whole show. You're like, where is this going? How is this going to pan out? But then right when you're hoping that there's going to be some kind of hope or some kind of like good thing that happens, they always twist it right at the end where it's just left you with hopelessness.
Yep.
And I feel like because the trilogy was so powerful and Neo sacrificed himself to save people, he's the hero. Now it might be that, they're adding this new, because, this is kind of how the dark occult work. They want to twist everything and kind of ruin the hope in things, and they know how powerful the Matrix was to waking people up. So maybe this movie is about destroying the good that came out of the first three. I don't know.
Maybe they'll make Neo the antagonist, right? The enemy,
right?
And they'll completely reverse him. And he because we know that Trinity died supposedly, right, in the third movie,
right,
when he's going to the source. So her being in that Matrix, it's possible that she's just a representation, a copy, an image of Trinity's consciousness, right?
Right.
A duplicate in a way, or an artificial being in that. And we kind of see that too, because you see Matrix code going down her face in the preview when he touches her. And I was thinking while you were saying that, it just kind of popped in my head. Maybe he is so attached to her that he, decides that he wants to stay in there, and he kind of awakens and he starts fighting against the red pills and the machines at the same time. He fights both of them, but that just popped in my head. So
that could be. I mean, it could be that he is, the machine saved his brain or saved his soul to somehow, put him, because he's a very powerful person, right? So, because he became really powerful, and by the third Matrix movie, so maybe they're going to use him to be destructive and destroy, destroy reality, or really destroy Zion. Maybe he'll be a Trojan horse or something.
I had another idea too, that let's say the truce is still going on between the machines and the humans, and then maybe there's a third faction of people who don't want that truce to be going on, and they're seeking Neo to actually, awaken him from, this system of oppression that he's, put in by the machines, right? And they're seeking to awaken him to get him on their side, because the truce is actually a bad thing, and they don't agree with that truce between machines and humans. So
right.
That's a possibility, that there's a whole new faction which is like in the comics, there's something like that happens where there's the third faction that comes out and they're like, no, like this shouldn't have been the solution. Like, you know, we need to go the other way. We need to destroy these fuckers. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I know we're out of time here. So yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. And I normally don't go to see movies, but there are 2 movies this year I'm going to go see. It's Dune and The Matrix, or at least stream them, whatever I can do. If they try to make me wear a mask, obviously I'm not going to go in. But yeah, I think those 2 movies are definitely worth watching just to see, you know, what's going on. And obviously I love allegories, so.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to watching that with you guys. So I think we're going to go ahead and end it. And Brandon, if you have anything else to say, really thank you for coming back on the show. So
just never give up. You know, truth, love, and freedom are worth getting your ass off your couch for. You know, get your ass off your couch and do something.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's an honor to be back on here, and I can't wait to come back on for some future content and the presentation, the Matrix presentation, I should have out within the next couple weeks. So
awesome.
Be keeping your eyes open and keep a lookout for it.
Cool, man. Yeah, I can't wait I'll definitely let people know when it comes out. So yeah, that's it, guys. So thanks for tuning in today, and we hope you've found some value. And also more shows, presentations, and news can be found at CubbyWhole.com. That's CubbyWhole.com. Also, please make sure to keep your eyes out for the next shows where I'll be going further into esoteric Freemasonry. You definitely want to make sure you understand the symbolism regarding esoteric Freemasonry if you really truly want to understand allegory. So if you have any questions regarding the topics for these shows, please email us at cubbyhole@mail.com. That's cubbyhole@mail.com. Also, any donations are always appreciated, as anything that's given goes directly to the CubbyWhole website. Just hit the donation button on the website at the top, and it's set up pretty easy to navigate from there. And thanks so much to those who have donated so far. Okay, I'm your host, Nate Cap. Thank you for listening, and keep in mind to do no harm, defend truth, and keep transcending dogma.
Yes, all right, that was another amazing episode. Made it to Diamond City, but we didn't get to level up. That's all right. Thanks again for choosing Beagle Eye Visions. You heard Squirt Dog in the background, Squirt Beagle Dog in the background. That was kind of cool. I don't know what I'm gonna do in the next episode. I think I might switch games because I'm kind of out of stuff to do in Fallout, even though I love roaming around the wasteland. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, thanks again if you made it this far. Stay tuned and stay golden.